Great, we are back again and I'm happy you're still on the road with me. We finished this piece, the top bend of our bag, in the last session, and we're going to work today on the prepping rows for the border as well as the border around the bag itself. That will transform your current kind of fishing tube into an actual bag. It will close the bottom out and it will create some additional tension that hopefully after another additional wet blocking, your bag will have its intended shape. Well, just one last note before we start. I never had the original bag in my hands, so I can't really tell. But from the pictures, I could imagine that maybe they have a wire around the entire rim of the bag, or at least kind of this U-frame around the bag, but I would think maybe even all around. So if you have any thin wiring that you want to use for that purpose, just keep in mind I haven't tested this. I just think that that might be the way the bag is originally constructed. You could add some additional wiring just to give it a bit more stability. As you can see, my bag is quite stable, but it has some flex to it right over here. If you really want to have it very rigid so it can't move, then I would suggest to add some thin wiring. I would not recommend using the 4mm wire we plan to use for our lettering later. I think that's way too thick. If you wanted to do that, then probably a 1 or 1.5mm could be the right one. But again, I haven't tested that. It's just some enhancement you might want to think about. I have deliberately decided not to do it with my second bag either, because as I told you, my daughter will get this bag and she likes the original so much that I'll just keep it exactly the way it is. And I'm very comfortable with this, how this bag behaves and how it holds its shape. I just want to encourage you with this to apply your own thinking and to not just rigidly follow what I do. You can do some things differently or in addition or however you like to. It's your masterpiece and you get to decide how it looks and how it feels. Amazing! Let's switch the camera back over to the top-down view and I'll walk you step by step how we do the prep rows and then how to crochet the border around. Put your needle off your last stitch over here. We'll put this one in a resting stage for now and we will add some new yarn. So our plan is now to work 2 preparation rows and we rotate our bag like this. We work 1 preparation round alongside the mesh here and we work 1 preparation row alongside the mesh part of the bag here. And once we've done that, we continue on top here and work the entire border around the whole bag. Why is that? Just to show you on my first sample. This preparation round helps us, or the preparation row helps us to create a neat border here alongside the mesh so we can easily pick up the double crochet stitches afterwards, and it creates this neat and straight edge. Otherwise, if we wouldn't do that, it would be very wonky and irregular. So this is needed to create a neat result. So what is important is that you now identify exactly your middle stitch. As you can see here, if I pull open my bag, this is for me where I have worked always the side stitch in every round. And this is the side stitch we are now going to work in. And we're not starting on top here of the border, but we're starting on the first of our side stitches in the mesh part. make sure that you have a good view of where your stitch sits so that you don't get confused while we're crocheting into them. Like this. Okay, and then we are starting So we just fastened our paper yarn here, and now we start to crochet. Take the tail you have and just have it lay in parallel to your stitches so you can easily crochet around it. That will immediately kind of clean up your yarn tail so you don't have to sew it in at a later point in time. I'm holding that with my thumb like this. And now we are just doing 3 simple crochet stitches like that. This is the second one, and we do a third one. Like this. And then we move on over to the next. And then we move over to the next stitch, and again we're pulling our yarn through, and we just work 3 simple crochets into this space. As you can see, my yarn tail is disappearing. And I just move on to the next one, and again work 3 stitches. Just work them quite tightly into the space. And it will look like this. You don't have to work in the whole tail of your yarn. You can at some point just cut it. It will not get lost. It's already quite tightly secured in here. Let's go a bit closer with the camera. So we're working 1, 2, 3 single crochets, and then we move to the next space. That's this one. Single crochets. And you can already see how the bag is starting to get a bit more direction with this action here, because we're basically telling the bag, you know, this is your sideline, don't extend over that sideline. And once we do the same on the other side, you will see that it starts being so wonky. So please work in this pattern across the entire row of mesh stitches until you reach your very last one here. Just pull your yarn through in after the last stitch, cut it, and then rotate your piece, your bag, and work the exact same from this side up on your side stitch here. Prep rows are now finished, but my bag is still curling a little. So now we're giving it another press. Okay, so if you look at my bag now, you see that it's completely and entirely flat. It's not it's not rippling anymore. It's totally flat and straight. It has 2 straight lines on either side, and also the top borders are very neat and tidy. See them? They don't have any rip. So I really want to encourage you to not underestimate the power of pressing and steam blocking your bag. Only if you thoroughly steam block and press will you have a good and straight and really neat result. So we put our needle back in, and what we're going to work next is our regular start of the next row. We are working 4 crochet chain stitches, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and now we're going to work in every second stitch into the back of the stitch a double crochet until we reach your last your next side stitch on the other side. So wrapping our yarn twice, we're skipping the stitch and we're working into the next one. And what you can see here is that we are again creating tension on top. We will relieve that a little bit by again pulling out those stitches, but we want the top border to be held in, right? So let's complete that until the last stitch of this side. Amazing. So we've worked the double crochet row atop our top band, and we've reached now the end of the first half, and what is left is our side stitch. So within this side stitch we are working 2 double crochets, and in this one we're not using only the back leg but the whole of both legs. So working 1 double stitch and working a second double stitch. This is because this will create our corner here, and in order for the fabric to turn around here, we need 2 double stitches. Next thing we're going to do is rotate our fabric, and we have now again those 2 side stitches on top here, and we will work each 5 double crochets into those side stitches. That's 1. 2, 3, 4, 5. You see already how the fabric is now starting to curl around your edge, and we do another 5 stitches into the next side stitch. And that's the start of our border. Okay, so we've managed that piece. What we're going to do next is we now reach the part where we have our prep row worked. For our prep row, we will now work 1 double crochet into every stitch of our prep row, and we use both legs of the stitches. So I'm going into the first stitch here, using both legs. So that it will look like this. Right, now we have kind of a very even and neat border. So you will just complete like we worked here into every stitch until you reach the end of your mesh part, the end of your prep round. The tail of what was at the end of your prep round, lay that in parallel to your double crochet at the bottom border, and then work 5 stitches around both the yarn tail and the stitch here, and 5 stitches here. And then we'll meet again to work the turn stitches and the bottom. Okay, we've worked through the entire prep row and have finished our first side row of double crochets. So this should already look quite finished, and we have worked our first corner, and now we're approaching our second corner. So let's turn around our bag. I'm removing my side marker here, and at the bottom band you have worked again 5 double crochets into the first side stitch and 5 double crochets in the second side stitch. So now let's work 2 turn stitches for the edge into this tiny hole that you have left here. And with that, we've reached the underside of our bag, basically your cast on. And now we're working similar as at the top. Every second stitch, we put 1 double crochet. And here we want to close the bottom at the same time. So we pick up the stitches like this, going through both the bottom lines, the cast on stitches of both sides, in order to close the fabric. Finish like this for the rest of the row, and when you reach first side, again work 2 double crochets for the turn stitch, and then similarly as we did before until you reach your last side again, and then we work 1 more turn stitch directly next to our starting stitch, and we'll meet there. We arrived now at our last and basically our first corner. This is where we started. Your bag should now look almost finished from the top side. So you worked 5 stitches in the side stitch of the top band in the first and second row, and then you've worked another double crochet into the base layer of the first stitch that we worked. Let's close that with 1 slip stitch. And that basically completes the first side of our bag border. What's now missing only is this side. So we're moving over from here. We'll just cut our yarn and pull it through, because we will finish the bag from the other side. So add your yarn to one of the turning stitches, the second turning stitch to be exact. And now we're going to work our double crochets into the back loop again. And we'll connect it, whoops, to the beginning of this edge. So you've basically created a parallel stitch to this turning stitch here. we have now one that is equivalent on the other side. I'm just hiding this so it doesn't confuse us. So what we're doing now is work exactly the same as on the opposite side. In every second stitch we work a double crochet, and at the end of this row we'll connect it to where we started with this stitch, basically, where we have kind of cut our yarn before. So we made it through the final part of our border. We have connected it here at the beginning. We worked across all the top stitches, and we have now reached the last stitch, and we will work another slip stitch into the second turn stitch that we've worked into the edge. And there we go. We can cut our yarn here and pull it through, and we'll sew in those ends later, or you can do it now already. We don't need those ends anymore. So give your bag a nice little steam press again to even out all the edges, to make it quite flat and even, and then we're done already for this part of our bag. Next, we are doing the handles, and I will show you that in our next video release. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. We've got a lot done today, and if you haven't finished yet, please take your time. The next video will release in a few days. Until then, bye bye and happy crafting.